This is Iwama town in Ibaraki Prefecture, the home of Aiki, where late Mr. Morihiro Ueshiba, founder of Aikido, devoted himself to years of intensive training. This shrine, dedicated to the deity of Aiki, is the symbol of Aikido, a martial art which sets out to protect peace and order on earth. In 1941, the founder moved over to Iwama town and established a martial art embodying all the ingredients of its own and every other martial art. This all-embracing art was named Aikido, which is characterized by Takemusu Aiki, or martial Aiki. What then was the founder's concept of Aikido? Here's a lesson worth remembering. When you are lost, get back to basics. Through this movie, we want to take another look at Aikido with the eyes of an unspoiled beginner. Suburi is an act of swinging a wooden sword about 1 meter long up and down without your partner. It is a basic exercise embodying the secrets of Japanese swordsmanship. Swing the sword over your head with your left hand holding the rear end of the hilt and your right hand touching the forward part lightly. As you swing the sword down, start gripping it with the little finger, followed by the other fingers. By so doing, the sword will stay within the center line of the body. Such suburi helps the trainee build a stabilized posture in taijutsu, or empty-handed Aikido exercises. This form of suburi requires twisting your hips as you draw your right foot back and swinging the sword over your head while staying clear of the line of your opponent's thrusting attack. Tanden uchi is a more effective exercise than suburi in stabilizing your hips because you have to have a firm hold on the sword and lower your hips to avoid being repelled. The secret of this kokyu-ho lies in splitting and imparting the ken gripping art to your both hands. This exercise cannot be performed properly unless your hands, feet and other parts of the body act in unison. This kokyu-ho, which is a must in day-to-day Aikido training, serves to build by degrees abdominal breath power and establish a complete interface between suburi and taijutsu. Here's a concrete example demonstrating the relationship between suburi and taijutsu. The fairly firm hold applied by the opponent goes unheeded altogether. As shown here, the suburi motions can be applied to taijutsu without the slightest difficulty because of their harmonious blend and freedom from conflict with the force of the opponent. This particular exercise is called shiho nage. Aligning your toes and turning your body the minute the holding starts is called urawaza, or turning technique. Shiho nage, as a matter of fact, is the outgrowth of the Japanese fencing art. Aikido techniques, be they omotewaza or urawaza, are essentially designed to cope with multiple attacks. The techniques, of course, can equally be applied to one attacker as well. Kotegaeshi, or wrist twist, which also bears resemblance to the Japanese fencing art, is being introduced here after omotewaza and urawaza. Body movements required at a time when you are surrounded by enemies on all sides can also be explained with a theory of the Japanese fencing art. Intensive study is required regarding a variety of irimi, or entering techniques, and body turns. Aikido is taijutsu translated from the Japanese fencing art, and vice versa. This film is going to introduce awase-ho, or how to blend your ki, or spiritual energy, with your opponents, kumitachi, or sword engagements in partner practice and its variations, as well as tachidori, or sword taking. Awase means blending your ki with your partner's. As a consequence, your movements are synchronized with his. Awase-ho, introduced here, is mainly an analyzed version of kimusubi no tachi, or ki blending swordsmanship. It features ample use of the body to augment the effectiveness of ken, as typified in irimi, or entering movements into the rear of the partner. Awase-ho requires a good amount of training as a prerequisite to the next, more sophisticated exercise, kumitachi. This is kumitachi. Kimusubi no tachi. First kumitachi. Second kumitachi. Third kumitachi. Fourth kumitachi. Fifth kumitachi. These represent a series of kumitachi variations. From ichi no tachi, or first sword demonstration, to go no tachi, two variations each are demonstrated. A variation of the first strike and another variation of the second strike. These variations are instantly adaptable to taijutsu. The kumitachi techniques, when implemented according to the principle of aiki, ramify into all sorts of variations, bringing under control the arm, elbow, and foot of your opponent. These varied techniques are considered most suitable in making your opponent aware that might is not everything. Tachidori is a sword-taking technique which is applied when you have to face your opponent empty-handed. This technique calls for advancing rightward with your right foot or leftward with your left foot in a move to subdue your opponent. There is no set rule as such governing the body movements in this regard. These movements are really free and uninhibited. However, kokyu nage, or abdominal breath throw, kotegaeshi, and irimi techniques are all based on the principle of aiki, which purports a blending of your and your opponent's ki. Tachidori may be regarded as a process of transition to taijutsu. It also could be a process of letting us discard our inclination to depend on arms. Aikido shall not be treated as a sport, for the simple reason that the art lumps together in an undistinguishable lot those techniques which are dangerous and those which are not. The severity of the art requires serious and earnest training. Because of such characteristic, Aikido will constantly provide its trainees with a major guideline toward attainment of their objectives. Aikido is a way of life which is unlimited both in depth and mileage. posture required in the Aikido jaw exercises is an oblique stance, which is assumed in a manner of one's natural walk coming to a halt. Compared with Ken, jaw has much more multifaceted uses in its implementation. Look at these one-man jaw movements. There are numerous patterns in thrusting exercises. Here we have chosen 5 patterns. They are practiced slowly at first. Rapid execution follows next. The multifaceted feature of jaw, in comparison with Ken, has resulted from the fact that jaw has no upper or lower part as such, has no blade, and any portion of the one uniform piece can be used to tactical advantage. What is important in jaw training is the grip. Jaw must be gripped as if you are wringing a towel, as is the case with Ken, at the time of thrusting and striking. The quickest manipulation of jaw is possible if you find yourself holding its center at the time of turning jaw for the next move. This is called using jaw at half its size, mastery of which requires a lot of thinking and practice. Once you get used to such way of jaw manipulation, your striking speed with Ken will also gain momentum. You are thus not only gaining speed in the handling of jaw, but also beginning to feel that a long stave is totally a part of yourself, like your hands and feet. Katate gedan gaeshi. Draw the jaw fully to the rear. Take a large step forward with your right foot and sweep from below to up over the head. Toma katate uchi. This technique is used when it is necessary to strike the opponent at a great distance. Katate hachinoji gaeshi. This strike is shaped like the number 8. Its purpose is to limber your wrists in training. Hasso gaeshi uchi. Turn the jaw, assume hasso no kamae, and then strike your opponent's face. Hasso gaeshi zuki. From hasso no kamae, thrust to the front. Hasso gaeshi ushiro zuki. From hasso no kamae, thrust to the rear. Hasso gaeshi ushiro uchi. From hasso no kamae, turn your hips and strike to the rear. Don't move your feet. Hasso gaeshi ushiro barai. From hasso no kamae, turn your body and take a large sweeping step with the right foot. Make a sweeping strike. Hidari nagare gaeshi uchi. Turn to the left and strike. This is an exercise for improving body movement. Migi nagare gaeshi zuki. Turn to the right and thrust. This is also an exercise for improving body movement. Ju-san no jo, or 13 forms of jo exercise, is the so-called quick flailing series, which feature the quickest possible delivery of blows to the front as well as to the rear. The Aikido Jo art may be described as a training method whereby the trainee, although holding Jo in his hand, becomes free from a sense of holding one and develops a frame of mind transcending earthly concerns. The Kumijo series being introduced here have been constructed on the basis of Sanju Ichino Jo, bequeathed by old master Morihei Ueshiba, founder of Aikido. Kumijo is linked up with Taijutsu, as is Ken. Seven successive demonstrations of Kumijo. First Kumijo. Move to the right Hammi and strike at the opponent's head. Second Kumijo. Move your body to the right and block his low strike and strike at the opponent's head. Third Kumijo. Move to the left and thrust at the opponent's side. Fourth Kumijo. Step forward with the right foot and thrust at the pit of the opponent's stomach. Fifth Kumijo. During your defense, adopt the hitoemi posture and thrust at the opponent's throat. Sixth Kumijo. As he raises the jaw to strike, move in with his motion. Turn and throw him by controlling over both of his arms. Seventh Kumijo. Step on the opponent's left foot. Extend your jaw against his arms and fall him down. In case your opponent tries to strike you with Ken, you must deal with it with a full knowledge of the uses of Ken. Aikido body movements are supposed to be easy and relaxed, since they are based on natural walking. Switching to and from right or left oblique stance tends to delay, but the movement will gradually pick up speed if you twist your hips fully and freely. Jaw manipulation is so akin to taijutsu that its own identity can gradually be phased out to merge into a wholly integrated Aikido system, incorporating Ken, jaw, and taijutsu. Aikido body movements are structured in such a way that these three vital elements are integrated into one entity without conflicting with each other. These Jōdori techniques are coupled with their Aikido taijutsu counterparts. They have no names to identify, so you have no other recourse but to learn these techniques by experience in the course of your training. The many techniques we have witnessed here have been developed basically from Sanju Ichi no Jo, or 31 forms of jaw exercise. So finally, let's practice Sanju Ichi no Jo. These forms have pieced together in succession a wide variety of jaw techniques. They are numbered for easier memory and performance. Counting each form, therefore, has little relevance to abdominal breathing. Segmenting the series for detailed training is worth trying. This 31-form jaw exercise has been bequeathed by old master Morihiro Ueshiba, founder of Aikido. The Aikido techniques know of no bounds with their unlimited potential. Those techniques, incorporating natural movements and their derivatives, are destined to form a sphere which will keep rolling for an indefinite period of time.